What's up guys, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and this is my top 5 favorite smartphones list of 2022. Now there have been lots of great smartphones this year, so it's been very difficult to narrow this down to just 5. And although I've tested many smartphones, of course I have not tested every single one. So no doubt there may be a smartphone that you feel should have been on this list, one of your favorites, which isn't. But that's fine guys, we can still be friends, there's no need to argue. Just drop your favorites down in the comments below. Also, another disclaimer, this list is in no particular order, I'm just giving you my top 5. I'll also give you some of my honorable mentions, but I will reveal my favorites, my daily drivers in the upcoming Super Saf style collaboration. You don't want to miss that, it's in the works and it'll be live very soon, so be sure you have subscribed and hit that bell icon. Now with all that out the way, let's get to my list, once again in no particular order. The first smartphone on my list, I mean, it's kind of a constant and I think you probably expect it. It is one of the first smartphones that released this year, and it is the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. Now this smartphone for me ticks pretty much all of the boxes, and even though it released very early in the year, still holds up and holds its own against lots of the other flagships. We've got a beautiful display, amazing all-around cameras with, I would say, the best zoom on any smartphone camera right now. Great performance, and the S Pen enclosed this year, which essentially makes it a note device. And although not everybody's a fan of that, me personally being a fan of the Note series, it's great to see this now combined into the S series. Now it's not perfect. I'd say over time the battery life hasn't really lived up, and many of the devices out there have much better battery life, and the performance is top notch, but now we have devices with the 8 Plus Gen 1 rather than the 8. But despite all of that, it's still one of the best smartphones without a doubt of 2022. Now some honorable mentions do have to go to the S22 as well as the S22 Plus. If you're somebody that's not got the money for the S22 Ultra, or you don't need the S Pen, the S22 and the S22 Plus offer a lot of what the S22 Ultra do, but at a lower price. Now, the next smartphone on my list might be a bit of a surprise, but it is the best compact smartphone you can buy, in my opinion, of 2022. And that is the Asus Zenfone 9. Now this, in my opinion, is a compact smartphone without really many compromises. You're still getting the 8 Plus Gen 1, you're getting 120Hz display, you're getting a 6-axis gimbal stabilized camera, stereo speakers, fast charging, a 3.5mm headphone jack. I mean, where do you see one of those? And all of that in a comfortable and compact form factor, which I really like. Now it's not perfect, the price has increased quite a bit compared to what we had on the Zenfone 8. And we do have a bit of a chin on the front display, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think they should have gone for something a bit more consistent. And we don't have wireless charging, which pretty much all of the other flagships nowadays do have. Having said that, it is still the best compact smartphone that you can buy, and I really do like it. Now moving on, let's look at the best iPhones that you can buy, and in my opinion, they are the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max. Now with the iPhone 14, I mean, it is pretty much an incremental update. You can just call it an iPhone 13s really. However, I do think we've got some great improvements on the 14 Pro and Pro Max. And the Pro Max for me in particular has been such a great device. The improved display with the dynamic island, I mean, you might not love the dynamic island, but you can't deny that it is pretty unique. We've got the brightest display that I've tested this year, which is great for outdoors, especially if you wear sunglasses like me. Amazing overall experience, and I would say, in my opinion, the best camera package for consistency and quality. The iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max have amazing cameras, and still the best video on any smartphone. Absolutely amazing video. If I do want to record video, my go-to is always the iPhone. Now the battery life is also really good. Not as good as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. That might be down partly to the always-on display, which is pretty much just a dimmed lock screen. Now it looks like Apple is taking that feedback on board and giving us more options with the always-on display. And the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max in particular, in the UK and many of the regions, have increased quite significantly in price. I know that's not Apple's fault and it's down to the economic situation, but something to keep in mind. However, if you are after the best iPhones you can buy, the iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are the ones to go for. Now, I do have to give an honorable mention to the iPhone 14 Plus. Again, bit of an incremental update, but if you are after a larger iPhone at a more competitive price, that is going to give you the best battery life on any iPhone. Now, the next smartphone on my list might be a bit of a surprise to you guys. It is the Google Pixel 7. Yes, not the 7 Pro. The 7 Pro is great, don't get me wrong, but I think the Google Pixel 7 is really good for most people, and it's the one that I can recommend to most people as well because of its very competitive price point, just under £600 or $600. Now for that price, you are getting almost everything that you get on the 7 Pro, which is quite a bit more. You're getting the same primary camera with Google's software processing, which is amazing. I know some people find it a bit too overprocessed, but I really like it. Google's very own Tensor chip with the software optimizations which you won't find on other smartphones, such as Photo on Blur, which actually works pretty well in my experience. You've got the Google Phone Assistant, as well as the ability to transcribe voice notes, all of which are really useful and unique to the Google Pixel experience. Now sure, you do just get 90 Hz instead of 120 Hz, which is something that you expect from a flagship, and you don't get a dedicated telephoto camera. However, the Google Pixel 7, in my opinion, is a great buy and something that I can easily recommend. Now, an honorable mention does have to go to the Google Pixel 7 Pro. It is still a great flagship, and it's priced more competitively compared to other flagships, and it has improved quite a bit compared to the Google Pixel 6 Pro, which I had so many bugs with. Right, now moving on to the final pick in my list. Now this was a really tough one because I did want it to be a foldable. I'm somebody who loves foldable smartphones, and I wanted to pick my favorite foldable to be as part of this list, and it was a tricky one because the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, I did use it for a while and I did really like it, and it's got some nice improvements. But in my opinion, Samsung has gotten a little bit lazy over the past few years because there isn't really much competition in the West. If we look at the international market, we've got amazing foldables from the likes of Xiaomi, Oppo, and more recently the Honor Magic VS, which I actually got a chance to test out. And in my opinion, all of these have a better overall form factor compared to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. However, most of these right now are not available in the Western markets. They may be later on, but at this point in time, Samsung does have a bit of a monopoly, which in my opinion has made them a little bit lazy. So although I do really like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, especially in terms of the software, great utilization of that folding display, seeing all of the competition internationally cannot make this one of my top 5 picks. My top foldable of the year is the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4. Now, don't get me wrong, this is also an incremental update compared to what we had last year. However, we do have some big improvements in terms of the battery life and cameras in particular, two of the things which I wanted improved. The Flip 4 still maintains its competitive price at under $1,000, which makes it a lot more accessible, and it really does flip heads. People, when they see the Z Flip 4, even if they've been iPhone users for all of their lives, they are very interested in the Flip 4, and it still does have an IPX4 rating, and still the only foldables, as far as I know, that have an official IPX4 rating, which is great. So for all of those reasons, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 has made the final pick of my list. Now, as I mentioned, there are some honorable mentions which we do need to cover. One of the most unique smartphones, I would say, of the year has to be the Nothing Phone 1. A new contender, and yes, the glyph lighting might seem like a bit of a gimmick to some people, but you can't deny that it does look very unique. And it comes in at around £400, and for that, you've got no chin for the front display, 120 Hz refresh rate, and a really nice and clean software experience. So the Nothing Phone 1, I would say, is one of my favorite mid-range smartphones. Now, the next honorable mention has to go to OnePlus. The OnePlus 10 Pro. Very confusing because it initially released in China, which I think was a very bad decision, and then it came out globally, but it's still a really nice smartphone. I do like the unique design. You get really fast charging out of the box, you get really nice displays with some really good cameras, and it's actually at a very competitive price now. Now, we can't speak of OnePlus without speaking of Oppo, the parent company, the Find X5 Pro. An excellent smartphone, but I think it just kind of got overshadowed because there wasn't really anything that massively stood out with that device. It's an excellent all-round device with some great cameras, an amazing display, a great build, but although it ticks pretty much all of the boxes you'll need from a flagship, it doesn't scream different and it doesn't really stand out amongst all of the other heavy hitters that we have. Now on the gaming side of things, I personally really enjoyed the ROG Phone 6 Pro as well as the ROG Phone 6 Ultimate, which in my experience are still some of the best gaming smartphones you can buy, built ground up for gamers. And on the budget side of things, in particular from the likes of Poco, Infinix, as well as Tecno, we've got some really nice devices. However, availability for a lot of these devices is still quite limited here in the West. Now, I actually didn't get to try out many Xiaomi devices this year, and the Vivo devices that I had did come a little bit late for me to cover. I'm not sure why a lot of these are not available here in the West, and review units were difficult to come by. So I know there's a lot of Xiaomi and Vivo devices that I would have liked to have tested and included in these lists, which I've not had a chance to do. So that is my list of top 5 favorite smartphones of 2022, along with some honorable mentions. What are your favorites? Drop them in the comments below. Once again, guys, there's no need to argue. We can still be friends. We all have different preferences. Now remember, my SuperSAF style end of year collaboration is in the works and it's going to be coming very, very soon. So if you don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do smash that like button for me. And if you want to see some related videos, I'll link those here in the cards. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSAF TV, and I'll see you next time.